The meeting of two worlds. The airlock hissed open, and Commander Yarrick stepped onto the Nebula Seeker, followed closely by Lieutenant Mira and Dr. Kieran. The alien ship's interior was unlike anything they had ever seen, gleaming metallic walls etched with intricate patterns, and corridors that seemed to pulse with a faint, otherworldly light. The air was cool and carried a faint, unfamiliar scent. Captain Vex, welcome. Captain Vex stood at the end of the corridor, their silver-scaled skin shimmering under the soft glow of the emergency lights. Welcome aboard the Nebula Seeker, they said, their voice calm but tinged with relief. We are grateful for your assistance, Yarrick nodded, extending a hand in a gesture of goodwill. We're here to help. Let's get your ship back in working order. A fragile alliance. As the two crews exchanged introductions, tension simmered beneath the surface. The aliens were wary of the humans, and the humans were equally cautious. We've never encountered your species before, Vex admitted. Your technology is primitive, yet effective, Yarrick smiled. We may not have your advanced tech, but we're quick learners. Let's focus on what we can do together. Assessing the damage. The humans and aliens worked side by side to assess the damage to the Nebula Seeker. Life support is barely functional, Zin reported, their amphibious skin still dull from stress. We need to repair the main systems before we can even think about moving the ship. Dr. Kieran studied the alien technology with fascination. This is incredible, he said. If we can combine our knowledge, we might be able to get your systems back online. A shared goal. As the hours passed, the two crews began to find common ground. You're not so different from us, Mira said as she helped Mori repair the communication system. You're just trying to survive, like we are. Mori's compound eyes reflected the light as they nodded. We are all travelers in the vastness of space. Perhaps this is a chance for our species to learn from each other. A mysterious threat. Just as the repairs were nearing completion, the ship's sensors detected an anomaly. Captain, we're picking up something on the radar, Kale said, their feline eyes narrowing. It's moving fast. Vex and Yarrick exchanged worried glances. What is it? Yarrick asked. We don't know, Vex replied. But it's not friendly. The enemy revealed. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a massive, menacing ship. Its dark hull bristled with weapons, and its design was unlike anything the humans or aliens had ever seen. That's not one of ours, Vex said, their voice tense. And it's not one of yours, Yarrick added. So who, or what, is it? A desperate plan. The hostile ship began to close in, its weapons charging. We're in no condition to fight, Zin said, their voice trembling. We need to get out of here. Yarrick turned to Vex. We can't outrun them, but maybe we can outsmart them. Do you trust me? Vex hesitated, then nodded. We don't have a choice. A daring escape. Yarrick and Vex worked together to devise a plan. If we can lure them into the asteroid field, we might be able to lose them, Yarrick said. But it's risky, Vex replied. One wrong move, and we're done for. Mira stepped forward. I can pilot us through. Just give me the coordinates. The two captains agreed, and the Nebula Seeker and Odyssey prepared for the dangerous maneuver. Into the unknown. As the hostile ship closed in, the Nebula Seeker and Odyssey plunged into the asteroid field. The ships weaved through the jagged rocks, their hulls scraping against the debris. This is insane, Dr. Kieran muttered as he clung to his seat. Insane, but brilliant, Yarrick replied with a grin. A narrow victory. The hostile ship followed them into the asteroid field, but its size made it less maneuverable. They're falling behind, Mira reported, her hands steady on the controls. Just a little further. Finally, the hostile ship was forced to retreat, unable to navigate the treacherous field. We did it, Vex said, their voice filled with relief. Thanks to you. A bond forged in crisis. As the two ships emerged from the asteroid field, the crews celebrated their narrow escape. "We couldn't have done it without you," Yarrick said, extending a hand to Vex. "And we couldn't have done it without you," Vex replied, clasping Jarek's hand. In that moment, a bond was forged, a bond that would shape the future of both species. Earth's response to the alien signal. On Earth, in a high-tech monitoring station buried deep within the mountains, a team of scientists and military personnel worked around the clock. The room was filled with the hum of computers and the glow of holographic displays. Among them was Commander Yarrick, a seasoned leader with a reputation for making tough decisions. His sharp eyes scanned the data streaming in from the Deep Space Monitoring Array. The mysterious signal. "Commander, we've picked up something unusual," said Dr. Alina, the lead scientist. Her fingers danced across the keyboard as she pulled up the signal on the main screen. "It's faint, but it's definitely artificial. And it's coming from uncharted space." Yarrick leaned in, his brow furrowed. "Can we decode it?" Alina nodded. "It's a distress call. Someone, or something, is out there, and they need help." A debate among leaders. The discovery sparked a heated debate among Earth's leaders. Some argued that responding to the signal was too risky. "We have no idea who's out there," said General Torin, his voice gruff. "It could be a trap." Others, like Dr. Alina, believed it was their duty to help. "This could be the first contact with an alien species," she argued. "If we ignore them, we're no better than those who turn a blind eye to suffering." The decision to act. After hours of deliberation, the decision was made. "We're going," Yarrick announced. "We'll take the Odyssey, our most advanced ship, and see what's out there." The crew of the Odyssey was assembled, a mix of scientists, engineers, and military personnel. Among them was Lieutenant Mira, a skilled pilot with a knack for getting out of tight spots, and Dr. Kieran, a xenobiologist eager to study alien life. Preparing for the unknown. As the Odyssey prepared for launch, the crew underwent rigorous training. They studied the signal, analyzed the possible scenarios, and prepared for every contingency. "We don't know what we're walking into," Yarrick reminded them. "Stay sharp, and trust your training." The ship's engines roared to life, and the Odyssey shot into the sky, leaving Earth's atmosphere behind. The journey begins. The journey to the source of the signal would take several days. As the Odyssey hurtled through space, the crew worked tirelessly to prepare for the mission. "What do you think we'll find out there?" Mira asked as she piloted the ship. "Hopefully, someone who needs our help," Yarrick replied. "But be ready for anything." A glimpse of the Nebula Seeker. As the Odyssey approached the coordinates of the signal, the crew spotted the damaged alien ship. "That's it," Dr. Kieran said, his voice filled with awe. The Nebula Seeker. The ship was a shadow of its former self, its hull battered and scarred. "Life signs?" Yarrick asked. "Faint, but present," Mira replied. "They're still alive." First contact. The Odyssey moved closer, and the crew prepared to make contact. "This is Commander Yarrick of the Earth ship Odyssey," he said, his voice steady. "We received your distress signal and are here to help." There was a moment of silence, and then a response came through. "This is Captain Vex of the Nebula Seeker. We are in desperate need of assistance." A new alliance. As the two ships docked, the crews prepared to meet face to face. "This is it," Yarrick said, turning to his team. "Remember, we're not just representing Earth, we're representing humanity. Let's make a good impression." The airlock hissed open, and the humans stepped onto the Nebula Seeker, ready to face the unknown. A moment of respite. With the hostile ship temporarily out of sight, the crews of the Nebula Seeker and Odyssey took a moment to regroup. The tension that had filled the air during the escape began to ease, replaced by a cautious sense of camaraderie. Captain Vex and Commander Yarrick stood side by side on the Nebula Seeker's bridge, their eyes fixed on the viewscreen as the stars stretched out before them. The mystery deepens. "Who were they?" Yarrick asked, breaking the silence. Vex shook their head, their silver scales shimmering faintly under the dim light. We don't know. They're not part of any known species in our records. Their technology is advanced, but their motives are unclear. Dr. Kieran, who had been studying the data from the encounter, chimed in. Their ship's design is unlike anything I've ever seen. It's almost predatory. A shared concern. The two crews gathered in the Nebula Seeker's command center to discuss their next steps. We can't stay here, Zin said, their amphibious skin still pale from the stress of the escape. If they come back, we won't be so lucky next time. Yarrick nodded in agreement. We need to find a safe place to regroup and repair the Nebula Seeker. But where? A plan takes shape. After hours of deliberation, the crews agreed on a plan. There's a nearby star system with a habitable planet, Kale said, pulling up a star chart on the view screen. It's uncharted, but the scans show it has a breathable atmosphere and resources we can use. Vex turned to Yarrick. It's risky, but it's our best option. Yarrick nodded. Let's do it. The journey to safety. The Nebula Seeker and Odyssey set course for the uncharted planet, their crews working together to ensure a smooth journey. As the ships traveled through the void, the humans and aliens continued to learn from each other. Your technology is fascinating, Dr. Kieran said as he examined the Nebula Seeker's systems. And your resilience is impressive, Vex replied. Perhaps this is the beginning of a lasting partnership. A new world. As the ships approached the planet, the crews were awestruck by its beauty. Lush green forests stretched across the surface, interrupted by sparkling blue oceans and towering mountain ranges. It's perfect, Mira said, her eyes wide with wonder. Let's just hope it's as safe as it looks, Yarrick added. Touching down. The ships landed on a wide, grassy plain near a dense forest. The crews stepped out onto the planet's surface, breathing in the fresh, alien air. This place is incredible, Dr. Kieran said, taking in the sights. But we can't let our guard down. We don't know what else is out here. Setting up camp. The crews worked together to set up a temporary camp, using materials from both ships to create shelters and repair stations. We'll need to gather resources to fix the Nebula Seeker, Zin said, their voice tinged with urgency. And we'll need to stay vigilant, Yarrick added. That hostile ship could still be out there. A strange discovery. As the crews explored the planet, they made a startling discovery. Deep within the forest, they found the remains of an ancient structure, a massive, crumbling tower covered in strange symbols. What is this? Vex asked, running a hand over the weathered stone. It looks like it's been here for centuries, Dr. Kieran said, his voice filled with excitement. Maybe even millennia. The hidden threat. As the crews examined the structure, they began to notice strange signs, scorch marks on the walls, shattered machinery, and evidence of a violent battle. Something happened here, Yarrick said, his voice grim. Something bad, Vex nodded. And whatever it was, it might still be here. A warning from the past. As the crews delved deeper into the structure, they found a hidden chamber filled with holographic recordings. The images showed a thriving civilization, until a dark, shadowy force descended upon them, leaving destruction in its wake. This is what we're up against, Vex said, their voice filled with dread. And if we're not careful, it could happen to us. A call to action. The crews gathered to discuss their findings. We can't let this happen again, Yarrick said, his voice firm. We need to find out what this threat is and stop it before it's too late, Vex nodded in agreement. But we can't do it alone. We'll need to work together, humans and aliens alike. A new mission. As the sun set on the alien planet, the crews of the Nebula Seeker and Odyssey made a vow. They would uncover the truth behind the ancient threat and protect the galaxy from its wrath. This is bigger than any of us, Yarrick said, his voice filled with determination. But together, we can face it. The Nebula Seeker's desperate plea. The Nebula Seeker drifted silently through the void, its once gleaming hull now scarred with ragged gashes and scorched metal. Inside the ship's command center, Captain Vex hunched over the main console, their silver-scaled skin glistening under the dim emergency lights. The air was thick with tension as the crew worked frantically to keep the ship operational. Life support failing. Life support is at 27% and falling, reported Zinn, the ship's engineer. Their amphibious skin, usually a vibrant blue, had faded to a dull gray under the stress. Main engines are offline, and secondary thrusters are operational, but fuel reserves are critically low. Captain Vex glanced around at their diverse crew, 6 beings from 6 different worlds, united by the Galactic Exploration Initiative. Each face bore the same grim expression. They were running out of time. The damaged distress beacon. What happened to the distress beacon? Vex asked, their voice calm but firm. Maury, the insectoid communication specialist, swiveled their chair toward the captain. The system is damaged but functional. I can broadcast, but we're in uncharted space. There's no telling who might receive it, if anyone. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. The disaster had struck without warning, leaving them stranded and vulnerable. A glimmer of hope. As the crew worked to stabilize the ship, a faint signal appeared on the radar. "Captain, we're picking up something," said Kale, the navigator. Their feline eyes narrowed as they studied the screen. "It's weak, but it's there." Vex leaned in, their heart pounding. "Can we reach it?" Kale hesitated. "It's on the edge of our range, but if we divert all remaining power to the thrusters, we might get close enough to send a stronger signal." A risky decision. Vex weighed their options. Diverting power to the thrusters would mean sacrificing life support even further. But without help, they were doomed anyway. "Do it," Vex ordered. "Send the signal and pray someone out there is listening." As the crew scrambled to execute the plan, the Nebula Seeker's lights flickered, and the air grew colder. The ship was dying, but hope was still alive. The signal goes out. Maury's claws clicked rapidly over the console as they sent out the distress signal. "Message sent," they announced. "Now we wait." The crew gathered in the command center, their eyes fixed on the view screen. The stars outside seemed colder and more distant than ever. "What if no one comes?" Zinn asked, their voice barely above a whisper. Vex placed a reassuring hand on their shoulder. "We have to believe they will. We have to believe in the kindness of strangers." A new dawn. As the Nebula Seeker drifted through the darkness, a faint light appeared on the horizon. It was too soon to tell if it was a star or something else, but for the first time in days, the crew felt a glimmer of hope. "Hold on," Vex said, their voice steady. "Help is on the way."